I feel like I still have that 1980s hustle, 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 no days off kind of attitude. And then I will come to a Wednesday just drained. And I think as I progress as a human being, as a business owner, I'm really starting to recognize that rest isn't something that needs to be earned. Welcome to the Expansion Code Bridal Edition, the show for bridal hairstylists, makeup artists, beauty pros, and yes, even brides who want the behind the veil scoop. I'm your host, Heather Dick, bridal business coach, salon owner, and ringmaster of a 50-person squad that styles hundreds of weddings every year. Around here, we go beyond the hairspray. Think scaling your business, setting boundaries, surviving high-pressure moments, and creating client experiences that everyone raves about. So whether you're building your bridal empire or planning your big day, grab a coffee or champagne, and let's talk business, beauty, and a whole lot of bridal. Happy Monday. I don't know when you're listening to this, but it's Monday for me today. And at the beginning of this season, I had promised to be authentic with you about my recordings and what was happening. And today I am so inspired to talk about this. It's Monday, like I mentioned, and I had an insanely busy weekend, a lot of impromptu events, like a gala on Saturday, just all of a sudden got ready for it like 45 minutes. We were kind of a shoo-in for a couple that got sick. Friday night, we had the Offspring concert, which as a millennial was like iconic. So late nights, both nights. Yesterday was Sunday. I did about 5 hours of work and like a lot of creative work. So I was losing my brain a lot. And this morning, you guys, I woke up and I was so tired, but it's Monday. And so my brain and my ego was like, you got to get up. You got to go. It's Monday. What are you doing? You shouldn't be resting. You can't do this. You can't do that. How dare you slow down? And I texted my friend. I said, oh my God, I feel so lazy today. And you know what she said? She's like, take a rest day, do a little bit of work, and then just rest. Watch TV. Go watch Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, which is like one of my favorite shows. And you know what my brain said? You can't do that. It's Monday. And I have this weird programming. I think it's, obviously comes from my parents who are workhorses and they're very successful. So it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a sense. Like they work really hard and they're very successful. So that's what I need to do. My girlfriend Madison, she was like, do a little bit of work and then watch TV in the afternoon. And you guys, the idea of doing that, watching TV on a Monday afternoon when I'm not dying from the plague or something, is so opposite from my programming. And it had me thinking as I'm laying in bed, my body is dying for rest. Could barely open my eyes this morning at 7:30, which is very late for me. And my brain was saying, get up, you got to go to the gym. Oh, your aura ring says that you should get 10,000 steps today. You better get up, got to walk the dog, got to go do this. And I realized that in this really weird transition, because now I'm becoming self-aware of these kind of things, right? Where 2 years ago, I would never allow myself to rest. I would never allow myself to just take a day and do something or do nothing. Sorry. A lot of that comes from a body image thing. Like if you don't go to the gym today, you're going to get fat. That's a whole other podcast. I'm not crying. For some reason, my nose is running right now, but my nervous system doesn't know what day it is. So yesterday, it was Sunday. I did 5 hours of work, like I said, or 6 hours, whatever it is. And it drained me a lot. I was creating posts, I was creating captions, working with stuff that's like requires a lot of brain energy. And that was Sunday. That's a day that's supposed to be rest. But I don't think about that on a Monday. I don't think like I need to just take today. And it had me thinking about as entrepreneurs, especially when we're making our own schedules, for someone like myself, I'm not dictated by clients, whereas a lot of my coaching clients are, right? Like they're behind the chair or they're working with lash clients or makeup clients or whatever. So their day is dictated by a schedule, whereas mine is not. And so I am in this really cool but kind of transient area where I genuinely make my own schedule. And to my own detriment, I fill it up because I feel like I still have that 1980s hustle, 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 no days off kind of attitude. And then I will come to a Wednesday just drained. And I think as I progress as a human being, as a business owner, I'm really starting to recognize that rest isn't something that needs to be earned, which is, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I hear everyone say this all the time. I still don't believe it. My programming runs deep. I still don't believe it, but I feel like I'm getting there. Even the fact that I entertained watching TV on a Monday afternoon, I'm getting there. And look what I did instead. I did my hair and makeup. I jumped on a podcast, but this is a creative outlet for me. This is like my therapy session. So, yes, I worked, but I'm trying to be more authentic with my audience. Quick pause because I have to brag on my first business baby, Blush Artistry. If you know me, you know that blush isn't just work, it is love. And we are talking hair, makeup, skin treatments, private personal training, the full beauty experience inside and out that makes you feel like the main character, whether it's your wedding day, a birthday, or just because you love taking care of yourself. My team, they are absolute pros. They've got the talent, the heart, and the hype to make you feel amazing. That's why Blush is the go-to beauty squad in Western Canada. Can I get an amen? So if you're ready for a little glow up moment, head to blush-artistry.ca or catch us on Instagram at blushartistrymua. All right, let's get back to the show. I've done a lot of spiritual work since, I started kind of really tapping into that, I would say 2018, 2019. And ego shows up in lots of ways, but ego is not necessarily bad. And I had actually a chat with a shaman and she said your ego will protect you. Your ego isn't something, that needs to be stuffed down, and you just need to pay attention to it. So on this Monday or whenever this happens to you, because I can guarantee it happens to you. I know it does. I know we put this pressure on ourselves to perform and get up and go to the gym and do all these things. And I do think that there's room for that. I think that we do have to be self-starters in some sense, especially as business owners. We can't let the pendulum swing too far one way or the other. She said, when your ego pops up, it's just a learning experience for you. That's where you have to have the self-awareness. Oh, what is this actually trying to tell me right now? Let's say if someone got a job over you, let's say a photographer picked another company over yours and your ego flares. What is that saying? For myself, I recognize that as like, okay, well, my competitiveness is, I'm quite competitive. So that's okay. But why do I feel like I have to get every single job? Why do I feel like it's not okay for someone else to get a job? Did I do everything I possibly could in order to nail down that opportunity? And why am I jealous? Am I insecure? Do I feel like I'm missing something? There's all of these things that you can kind of dissect when your ego flares up. And so this morning, when it flared up for me, it's because I'm told and I tell myself that I have to get up and go to the gym every day. You got to move your body. You got to do this. You got to do that. And I didn't feel like it. And I was talking to my real ride or die best friend, Camille. And she was like, man, she's like, if it doesn't feel easy, that's what's pretty obvious. And I was like, well, no, it's not obvious. I don't know. What do you mean if it doesn't feel easy? She's like, it means that you need to rest, girl. She's like, because there's going to be days where you wake up and it's 6 a.m. and you're like, woo, I am ready to tackle the day. And she's like, today's just not that day. And it was like, oh man, you're right. That was, we're getting there. I'm getting there. The whole like, you don't need to earn rest. Like I said, I don't really believe in it, but I will. I'll get there. And as a entrepreneur without a set schedule, and if you are in this kind of area of life as well, I encourage you to look at your schedule as a whole. In the past, I've been really guilty of just looking at it as in days, like, oh yes, I can go do that on Wednesday. Oh yeah, for sure, I have 3 hours on Friday that I could do that. And what would happen is I'd end up really burnt out because I wasn't looking at my week as a whole. And also look at the things and meetings or clients or whatever it is that you're booking. Is this a fun lunch that I'm going to? Or is this something where we have to create and I need to use my brain and I need to build up inspiration in my imagination? Because that's probably going to drain me a little bit. Actually, just past this past week, I hired a new bookkeeper for Blush, and she's a blessing. But her work that she's having to do is extensive because Blush is revenue streams. We have so many revenue streams and so many things. It's just a nightmare. And I just always say to her, I was like, listen, my job is to make sure that the money comes in for what the services we've done and I've paid it out correctly. And I am doing that. So everything else is up to you. Anyways, our meeting was like 3 hours long. You guys, I was glazed over. My eyes were glazed over by the end of the day. It drained me. And she said, I can see this is like, you're done. And I had dinner with a friend scheduled in a couple hours after that. And I messaged her. I was like, listen, I got nothing left in my tank right now. I just don't. And that's a self-awareness journey that is allowing me and you the grace to kind of just recognize that. Don't feel like you have to. Don't feel like you have to go to the gym or you have to take a wedding every single weekend. I realize that there's monetary responsibility attached to a lot of those things, but maybe that looks like something a weekday venture where you hook up with a photographer and get a contract where you're doing their maternity shoots on a Wednesday. Because when we're giving so much in this career, having a social life too, or kids, it's a lot. And I felt it today. It's Monday. I'm going to try to watch TV this afternoon, or maybe not at 7 o'clock or whatever, or do something that just kind of recharges me. Because my body, I'm not lazy. I'm just being honest. And I encourage you to feel that same way. Again, see, there's that that like programming that comes in that wants to be like, but make sure you still work really hard. Don't be too lazy. We're a work in progress, aren't we? That's all. That's all I have for today. Work when you can, give when you can, and take rest when you need it. Because it doesn't matter if it's a weekday or a weekend. That's not a construct that we live by as entrepreneurs. Your energy does not need to reset on a Sunday. It can reset on a Tuesday because our nervous system, it doesn't run on a Google Calendar, does it? It runs on input output. And today, I need a slow day. I hope you enjoy your week, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for tuning into the Expansion Code Bridal Edition, your VIP access to a booked out, balanced, and thriving bridal business. If you loved today's episode, hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow beauty pro. For more tips and behind the scenes magic, hang out with me on Instagram at IamHeatherDick or visit theexpansioncode.ca. Until next time, keep slaying those styles, leading with confidence, and remember, every detail counts, and so do you. Another little disclaimer, while I love sharing advice and business wisdom, I am not your lawyer, I'm not your accountant, and I'm not your fairy godmother. If you do want to be best friends, though, you can hit me up. Everything on this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only, so no lawsuits, okay?